Good day, students. My name is Iwalewa Matthew, still your mathematics teacher. Today, let us start with what we have learned in our previous class. In our previous class, we are taught how to identify a plane shape, properties of a circle, and the categories of a circle, which are lines and regions. We are also taught properties of a triangle and the types of triangle that we have. Today, we shall be looking at plane shape 2. Subtopic under it we have the meaning of quadrilateral, properties of quadrilaterals, quadrilateral family tree, identification and naming of polygons. What do we call a quadrilateral? A quadrilateral is a shape that is enclosed or bounded by 4 lines or 4 sides. Now let's look at a square, the properties of a square. 1. All the 4 sides and angles are equal. So when we are talking of a square, the 4 sides and the angles are equal. For instance, look at this. When you look at this side, this side, this side, and this side, you will notice that the 4 sides are of the same length. So when you look at what I've pointed on your screen, you'll notice that when you look at all these 4 sides very well, you will see that they are equal. And look at their angles that they make. Look at this angle, this angle, this angle, this angle, this angle, this angle, and this angle. When you look at those 4 angles, you will see that they are also equal in length. 2. All corners of a square are identical and each equal to right angle. So when you look at a right angle, that's when 2 perpendicular lines meet. For instance, look at this. This angle, when you look at that angle very well, you will notice that is a right angle, 44. So when you check all the angles, you see that they are all right angles. The third one, each pair of opposite side of square is parallel and equal. They are parallel and equal. How? Look at this line, the second line. When you look at the direction of the 2 lines, you will see that the 2 lines cannot meet. Why? Because they are what? They are parallel. Also look at the second one, this line and this second line. When you look at the lines, you will see that they cannot meet because they are parallel. So each pair of the opposite side of a square is parallel and equal. The diagonal of a square are equal and they bisect each other at a point of intersection. For instance, look at this. So when we are talking of this is a diagonal line. That is a line that comes from one angle to another angle. So also look at this. When you look at this, you will see that is also a diagonal line. So when we are talking of a diagonal line, is a line that bisects, that comes from one angle to the opposite angle. A square has 4 lines of symmetry. How? Because it can be divided into 4 equal parts. 1, 2. If I divide it like this, that will give me 1. The other one, 2. If I also bisect it like this, I will also have another one. If I bisect it like this, that is another one. So it will have 4 lines of symmetry. Line of symmetry means a line that divides a shape into 2 equal parts. Now let's move to the second one, which is a rectangle. A rectangle. The 2 opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. So look at this side, this side. You will see that when you measure it, they will have the same length. Also look at this line and this line. They are also equal. So that's why we said the 2 opposite sides of a rectangle are equal in length. Another one is all corners of a rectangle are identical and each equal to right angle. Same thing like a square. When you check this angle, this angle, this angle, this angle, you will notice that it's also the same thing like a square, which gives us a right angle, which is equal to 90 degrees. Also, each pair of opposite side of rectangle is parallel and equal. When you also look at this line, you will see that the two lines are parallel. Why? Because they are moving in the same direction and the two lines cannot meet. Now, look at the other side of the shape. Now, if I also have here, if I also have this line, you will see that the two lines, if they are moving in a downward direction, the two lines can never meet, which are what? Which are parallel to each other. The third one, each pair of opposite side of rectangle is parallel and equal. I've said that. The next one, the diagonal of a rectangle are equal and they bisect each other at the point of intersection. Same thing here. If I draw a line from this angle, from here to the other angle, which is the angle facing that, also from the second one to the other angle facing it, you will see that they will bisect at a particular point. So they will have a point of intersection. Now, the next one, a rectangle has two lines of symmetry, which means you can only divide a rectangle into two. That is, if I have it like this, it will give me equal parts when I fold it. Same thing, if I also do it like this, I will also have two equal sides when I bisect the two angles. So that is for a rectangle. So it has two lines of symmetry and they are line passing through the point of intersection of the diagonals. The next one is a trapezium. A trapezium is a quadrilateral having two opposite sides parallel while the others are not. So you can see, look at the shape, you will see that they have two opposite sides that are parallel. You can see the arrow. You can see the arrow here. You can see the arrow here. So it has two opposite sides that are parallel, which means this side and this side are parallel to each other. The properties. Also, that is also one of the property of a trapezium. Another one is the two opposite sides are parallel while the other two are not, which means this side and this side are parallel. But when you look at the other two sides of the trapezium, you will see that they are not parallel. Why? Because if this is a line coming like this, a line also coming like this, there is tendency that the two of the lines will meet. Surely they will meet, which cannot be parallel. Another one is the total angle in a trapezium is add up to 360 degrees. Is for all quadrilaterals. The sum of angles in any quadrilateral is 360 degrees, and it does not have any lines of symmetry because there is no way you can divide a trapezium into two that will give you an equal shape. The next one is a parallelogram. Parallelogram is also a quadrilateral with four sides. In a parallelogram, opposite sides are equal and parallel. So when you look at the opposite side, you will see that here we have two dots, two lines. Here we also have two lines. Here we have two arrow, here single arrow, single arrow. So which shows that these two opposite sides are equal and these two opposite sides are also equal. Are we getting what I'm doing? So this side and this side are parallel. This side and this side are also parallel. and that is why we call it a parallelogram. The diagonal of a parallelogram bisect each other. So you can see this one is already there with a dotted line. You can see that the diagonals are meeting at a particular point. And it has no line of symmetry because there is no way I can divide this kind of shape into two that will give me equal size. The next one is a rhombus. A rhombus is also a quadrilateral with 4 sides. So a rhombus is a parallelogram with 4 sides. And one of the property is the diagonal of a rhombus bisect each other at right angle. You can see which is in a red labeling. So when you look at the middle very well, you will see that the diagonals meet at a middle, which is a right angle. A rhombus has 2 lines of symmetry. The red line shows that if I divide it into 2 like this, and I will have equal side. If I also divide it perpendicularly, I will also have 2 equal sides. So a rhombus is also has 2 lines of symmetry. But we can also say that a rhombus is a bent square because all the sides of a rhombus are also equal, just like a square. But its own is just a bent square. Then the next one is a kite. A kite. A kite has 2 pairs of adjacent sides of equal length. So you can see from the diagram, you can see we have 2 lines on it. We have 2 lines here, 2 lines here, which shows that these 2 sides are parallel. The 2 lines are equal in length. They are equal in length. Also, when you look at the other part, you will see that the first part is not the same thing as the second part of the kite. For instance, now look at this. You can see the line I produced here. When you look at that, it shows that 2 sides are what? They are equal to each other. Are we getting it? So a kite has 2 pairs of adjacent sides of equal length. So the 2 sides are equal. And when you look at it, one of the sides is longer than the other side. The diagonals of a kite cross at a right angle. One thing about this quadrilateral, when you notice this very well, you notice that all the shapes that has a diagonal always bisect at an angle of 90 degrees. A kite has no line of symmetry. It means since they are not having any equal shape, I cannot divide it into any 2 equal parts. Because if I divide it like this, I cannot have equal side. Also, if I divide it horizontally, I cannot have equal side. So a kite does not have any line of symmetry, which means I cannot divide it into 2 equal parts. Now, let's now move to the quadrilaterals family tree. Looking at this tree, it shows the link between the quadrilaterals, how they are related. This family tree shows how the quadrilaterals are related. Look at that is the quadrilateral. We have the quadrilateral. Then after that, you can see the arrow. We have a kite. It means there's a relationship between a kite and a delta. You can see the arrow. We also have a relationship between a trapezium and isosceles trapezium. So when you look at isosceles trapezium, is quickly different from a trapezium. It's because an isosceles trapezium will give you base angles to be equal, and it also has a pair of parallel sides. But when you look at the parallelogram can also give us a parallelogram. We can say that a parallelogram is a rectangle, is a rhombus, and is a square. So it means a parallelogram can either be a rectangle, be a rhombus, and a square. It means there's a good relationship between parallelogram, rectangle, and a rhombus. We can also say here that a square is a rectangle. And we can say that a square is also a rhombus. But a rhombus is not a square. So you can see a square can be a rhombus, but a rhombus cannot be a square. A square can also be a rectangle. A rhombus is also a parallelogram, and so on. So you can see this is the relationship between the quadrilaterals. A parallelogram can be a rectangle, can also be a square, and can also be a rhombus. Now let's now move to identification and naming of polygons. When we are talking of polygons, polygons deals with number of side. The number of side will determine the type of shape that you call it. So when we are talking of polygons depend on the number of side. And you can only use the number of side to call such shape. A polygon is a 2D shape, which is the same thing as two-dimensional shape, which are plane shapes, made when line segments enclose a region, that is, when a shape is being enclosed or bounded by lines. You can see a rectangle, a square, a trapezium. All these shapes are bounded by a line. So looking at this diagram now, we have A, we have A, we have B, we have C, we have D, and we have E. Now, when you look at this side BC, the line segments are called sides. We also have here, when you look at here, this is also a side AB. But when you look at where A is, or where this B, you will see there is a point at it which is pointing out. So an end point is called a vertex. That is where two lines is meeting. Where two lines are meeting is called what we call a vertex. But when the lines are more than two meeting at a particular point, is now a plural, which is vertices. Now 2D stands for two-dimensional. So when we are talking of 2D shape, it's also the same thing as two-dimensional shape, which are plane figures. These two-dimensional have dimensions of length and breadth. So when we are talking of two-dimensional shape, they are shape that has length and also has breadth. A polygon has no thickness. It means it does not have any thickness. It only has a length and a breadth. And that's why when you look at all the plane shape that we have been studying, you would only notice that is either they have a length, it means how long they are, or how wide the shape may be. Now, let us continue. Naming of polygons. Polygons are named according to the number of sides they have. I've told you this earlier. I told you that before you can name a polygon, it depends on the number of sides that that shape is having. Now, when you have a shape that is being enclosed or bounded by three lines, you call such a shape a triangle. For instance, look at this shape. Look at this shape. Look at this shape. Sorry. You can see that if you are looking at this shape, this is a rectangle which is being enclosed by three lines rather. So when you look at this is a line 1, this is another line 2, this is another line 3. So you can see a triangle is a shape that is being enclosed by three lines. So any line that is being enclosed by three lines is referred to as a triangle. The next one is a quadrilateral. It's a shape that is being enclosed by 4 sides. For instance, if I have a shape like this, don't mind if the lines are not straight. If I have a shape like this, you can see this 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. You will see. So when you look at the lines, it has 4 sides, which is a rectangle. And when you look at it, this side is longer than this side. That length 1 is longer than length 2. So the 1 is the length and the 2 is the breadth. So the length is always longer than its breadth. So another one is a pentagon. That is a shape that is having 5 sides. 5 sides, sorry. I can also have a shape like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5. So you can see this is also a pentagon, which is a shape that is being enclosed by 5 sides. So a shape that is being enclosed by 6 sides is called hexagon. And a shape that is being enclosed by 7 lines or 7 sides is known as heptagon. A shape that is being enclosed by 8 lines is known as octagon. 9 sides, nonagon, and 10 sides, decagon. Mind you, if there is any of this shape that does not have equal side, it is not regarded as regular polygon. It's ordinary polygon. But when we are talking of a regular polygon is a plane shape or 2D shape that has all its sides equal in length. You can see all what I've been giving you is not a regular polygon. Why? Because the lines are not being measured. But once a shape is being enclosed by any of this number of sides, you can call it according to the number of sides. So if the shape is having 3 sides, the shape is known as a triangle. For instance, now an isosceles triangle is also a triangle. Why? Because it's having 3 sides. So with this now, I believe by the end of this class you should have understand what a polygon is and what a plane shape is. And please, if you have any question, don't hesitate to forward the question to my WhatsApp number, which is 081-330-90613. And please make sure you study this very well and ask questions where you don't understand. You also have a class activity here, which I expect you to send to my WhatsApp. Please, and when you are solving this question, make sure you write down the question and put your answer under each of the question. And make sure you put your name on it boldly. So question 1, we have a 4-sided polygon is called dash. So here, you just fill in the answer. 2, a plane shape with 9 sides is called dash. So you also put this. Then number 3, list 2 similarities between a rectangle and a square. It means list 2 things that is common between a rectangle and a square. It means what you can see in a rectangle and you can also see such in a square. Then the last question, which is number 4, name 3 things in your kitchen that is circular in shape. So this is the end of our class today. I still remain my humble self, Matthew Iwalewa. Thank you. Goodbye.